There you
Hi.
are.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
the bad thing is that because I'm on my phone now, because I can't remember the password to the Instagram, my questions were on my phone, and I
Oh, you
tried to
know
email
what?
them to myself, but for some reason it's not going through.
That's okay. I have the questions actually. Do you want to write them down? I can tell them to you real quick.
I think I know basically what they were, but
Okay, no problem.
I know a little about
I'm just
self
gonna pop
care.
in my page and just let folks know we had a change of plans. And
Yes.
I'm gonna post this in SWOB also. Copy, post, and SWOB. Just so we can get a couple of folks in here. SAG. Hey. All right. So we are going to get started and on. Her name is Joy Anciano. And I'm going to let her introduce herself for sure. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Angela Collier. I am the owner of Full Potential Fit Club, virtual for women, and I've been in the industry for more than 15 years. I am a personal trainer. I have a background in nutrition as well as a master's in holistic health. So I'm excited to have Joy on, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll get started with our conversation.
Well, I'm Joy Anciano, and I am a living benefits expert and advocate, and I've been one for about 2 years, but I have been in the industry for about 5 or 6, and I am very excited to be here sharing this time with Coach Angie because she has actually helped me, and I just want to give her a personal shout out. I joined her clean week, and I felt major changes, so she's definitely a pro at what she does.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you joined and that you are having fun with it. So, and you've been doing a great job. So,
And seeing our results too, so that's great.
yeah, no, absolutely. And the results are always a motivator, right? So I'm glad that
Mhm.
you're seeing results. So I don't know if you want to flip a coin. Who wants to go first? I don't mind if you want to shoot me with questions. But either way, let's go.
Okay. So right now, what are some things that people can do? Because I know, due to COVID, and I know,
Uh-oh.
people are being
That's
isolated, and they're just having a
mhm.
difficult time. So what are some things that people can do, and how to get over this?
Yes, I love the question. Thank you so much for your thoughtful question. So first and foremost is get up and move. Move creates momentum, it creates energy, it creates vibration. So when you move, you are instantly going to feel better. You will improve your mood. You will be more focused. You'll have more mental clarity. You'll be able to connect to or reconnect back to your purpose or what matters most to you, and just be your best self. And there's a lot of things that you can do. Number one, just standing up. You can just do some stretches, roll the shoulders back, stretch the neck, wiggle the fingers, stretch through the wrist, anything. It doesn't have to be like a big thing, but if you are just wanting to do something, if you're working from home and you're wanting to do something to just kind of break up the monotony of the day, Just some simple shoulder rolls, do some neck stretches. You can just simply stand, which is great if you're doing a lot of like Zoom meetings all the time. Stand up, one of those. And then if you do have more time, you can definitely do things like go for a walk. You can do yoga, you can dance, put on some music. And I usually work with music. So when I'm working, you're just kind of, flowing with it anyway. So that
Right.
helps to give you a little bit of movement. But yeah, get up, move, get the heart pumping, anything like that, just to move the body. The second thing is, and one thing I wanted to mention is it's recommended that you try to move anyway every 30 to 90 minutes. So when you start to notice that you aren't thinking as clearly, you're responding to an email or a message and it's just like not quite coming, that's a signal that you probably need to get up and do something that's going to help refresh you a little bit. So try to set your alarm, your phone to move every 30 minutes, and then every 90 minutes like get up and go walk around. And then other practical things, just to kind of keep you positive, is to call someone that's gonna, not like a Debbie Downer or something, but someone that's positive, someone that's gonna make you laugh, speak positivity, speak life. And I like to, my husband is always sending me memes in Messenger, so watch something funny, look at something funny. I have a good friend that named Bridget. She's always posting, really funny things. So try to do something that's going to make you laugh. And then other go-tos are prayer. So if I'm just really having a tough time, I pray. I have a couple of Bible verses that help to inspire me. And then I like to journal. I like to write, which helps for me it's a way that I vent. And the other thing is I try to I have a vision book. I should have brought it with me, but it's just a little book of, things that I'm working towards. So if I'm just kind of feeling like I don't feel like doing this, then when I flip through that book, and I also have it in my phone, some of my goals and pictures that inspire me, it just helps to keep me focused, especially when I'm just kind of like not really positive in that moment.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That was very good. Those are some very good tips. And, I work a lot, just sitting down. So the standing up every 30 minutes, I had never heard of that before. Just,
Yeah,
so.
there's research to back that up. I don't know if you've heard of this saying before, but they say sitting is the new smoking. So with the way our work is today, with us being so sedentary, it actually is increasing our risk of lifestyle related diseases. And a lot of people think, and I used to think this way too, that okay, I exercise every day, I get it in, I'm working hard, I'm good. And that's great. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I'm saying is you got to move throughout the day as well. And that's going to help to, also boost your metabolism, keep that blood flowing, and not just pulling down. So you definitely want to move throughout the day also.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the other question I have to you, because today is Sunday and people usually talk about self care Sunday. So, what is self care? And then, why is it important, if it is important? And then, what are some things that we can do to take care of ourselves, some practical things?
Sure. Yeah, no, I care Sunday. And so what is self-care? So self-care is anything, to me, this is my definition, anything that you're doing to fuel or pour into yourself. So what that means is, think about if I had like a jar, this is a water bottle, but let's say I had this full of marbles, right? And I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I coach, and so I'm always emptying out marbles, right? And then at the end of my day or at the end of your week, your jar is pretty empty. So in your temple, in yourself, there's nothing left. And so a lot of times we feel depleted, and that depletion can come in the form of you're cranky, you're moody, you're not very positive. And so it's really important to make sure that you are refilling yourself. So, and taking care of yourself, not just once a week, but all the time. So to me, self-care is anything that you're doing to fuel yourself. So that could be what you're eating. How are you taking care of your body? Movement, those things are gonna help build a strong foundation to make sure that you're energized. Making sure you sleep, making sure you're hydrated, making sure, what are you reading? What are you listening to? What is, how are you feeding yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? So I look at self-care as those buckets. All right. So that's what self-care is to me. And then why is it important? Because it's important to fuel ourselves. So if we are constantly giving, and I know, as a woman, I tend to give, and just people that want to help, we are always giving out. Put that back in so that you can keep doing that. Eventually, you're going to burn out. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to avoid burnout. And burnout is a very, very dangerous place, especially depending on what you do as a profession. When I was a wellness manager for a hospital, one of the major topics that we talked about all the time was burnout. And these are physicians, these are nurses, these are healthcare providers that are caring for us, but they're coming to work burned out because they just have not taken the time to fuel themselves. Now, as far as practical things, I've been reading a book called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and he talks really simple things that you can do to fuel your morning, like affirmations. I read a book, or I have a book called Life is a Gift by Aliyah Kamala, and she has an affirmation every day. So it's just
Okay.
you can fuel yourself positively. Visualization, visualizing your day. How are you moving through your day? What does that look like for you? Exercise, reading, journaling, what you're eating. Every nutrition choice is self-care. So how are you carrying yourself from the perspective of food, and then what you're listening to? I don't watch a lot of news. My husband gets on me about that because I'm very unaware of what's happening in the world.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
I really try to avoid a lot of just anything that's going to bring me down. So, how are you feeling yourself? What are you listening to? What are you ingesting? Because it does impact you. So, I mean, those are just little daily things to think about, as far as how you're taking care of yourself. And then, make sure you do have a day where you don't have a lot going on. Don't pack your whole day from one thing to the other. And that's something on a weekly basis I'm working on, because I do have a tendency to really love what I do and I can go from one thing to the next. So I've been working on like taking 10 or 15-minute breaks to just kind of take a step back. And it can be just little things like closing your eyes, taking a couple of deep breaths, focusing on your breath. I do practice meditation, but I am not sitting there with a candle and doing this for 20 minutes. Not me. I like really short micro meditation. So a really great book that you might want to check out is called Meditation in a New York Minute. The book is like that big. It's so short, but they're just really short, practical ways that you can meditate during the day. Like when you're washing your hands, we're supposed to wash for 20 seconds. So that's 20 seconds of meditation, just focusing on the act of washing your hands.
That's good. Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And my other question is, I know there's a lot of people, myself included, who want to live healthier lives because, we realize that our lifestyles are not that great. But, we may think, oh, it's too expensive. I don't have the time to do this. What can we do?
No, it's understandable to feel that way or to have that perception. And in some cases, it is true, unfortunately. I mean, I really hate that it costs, if I want to buy 3 cucumbers, it's going to cost more than a can of like Coke. So that's just, it's just the way our world is, unfortunately. Now, but it's understandable to feel that way. And I also think of investing in your health, because to me, you're ultimately over time are going to look at either you're investing in medicine, or you're investing in your health. So do you want to take a bunch of pills all the time, or do you want to be able to have a really high quality, happy life? And it's just, what are you investing in? It kind of boils down to choices. Um, but I know that healthy living can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of moving pieces to it. There's a lot of information out there. So hopefully these things will make it a little simpler for you. So the first thing I would ask someone that is like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I don't know where to start. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of time, but they're contemplating it. That's good. So I definitely want to celebrate the fact that they're thinking about doing something positive in their life. And then I would ask, what is their motivation? What is inspiring them? Because when it does kind of come down to, man, it might be more expensive, it is going to take effort, it is going to take time, it's going to be important to default to what motivated you in the beginning and how is it going to over time impact your life. So I mean, examples would be, I want to lose weight so that I can have the energy that I need to be a great mom. You know, I want to be able to get down on the floor and play with my kids and keep up with them. So that's really the meat of the whys, because I want to be with my kids long term. So when you really have that in your brain, it's going to help to kind of keep that motivation a little lifted when it gets kind of tiring or hard. Now, once you really have that strong foundation, start small. And I think you hear me say this in my group all the time, is start small. It's okay to focus on one thing. I work with hundreds of people, and I always have them focus on one thing. So a lot of times they want to get started with like this list of things, like I want to drink more water, I want to exercise, I want to meditate, I want to do all this stuff. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm so happy that you're ready to do this. Let's pick one to focus on this week. And we just start taking little baby steps. And what they find is, a lot of times, let's say if they want to drink water, we end up working on water for a long time before they feel strong about that habit. So just focus on one thing at a time. And once that one thing becomes a strong habit, then you can start working on other things. But simple things that really don't cost a lot. If you're wanting to start exercising or drink more water or eat healthier, think about what you can control. So a couple of things is, I don't have access, I'm not going to the gym, or I don't have weights, or whatever it is. You have your body. So you can do push-ups, you can do jumping jacks, you can do squats, you can dance. So just think about what you can do. And if you don't have a lot of influence behind what type of food that you buy, then focus on your portions. Focus on eating enough to be satisfied. You're no longer hungry, not necessarily stuffed like Thanksgiving or full. All right, so be more conscious about how much you're eating if the actual food is not something that you can think about. Focus on getting a lot of walking in. So if you can, walk and move as much as you can throughout the day. Drink your water, and then focus on getting a good night's rest, and focus on just breathing. Try to keep those stress levels at bay as much as you can. So those are just ways that you can actually get started. And these are great starts, because these are big areas for a lot of people if they're not doing it currently in their, as far as wellness goes.
Those are all the questions that I had for you. Those were great answers. I loved it.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So I hope that you found those helpful. And if anyone in the chat has questions, definitely, ask those questions. But so Joy, she caught my attention because she calls herself a living benefit advocate. And I kind of knew a little bit about it, but I wanted to learn more. So this is my opportunity to learn a little bit more about what it is that you do. So that is my first question. What is a living benefit advocate?
Well, basically, as an advocate, I am spreading good news. That if you have conditions like heart attack, stroke, cancer, any kind of major illness or injury, your family doesn't have to go in financial burden and hardship because of that, especially if you lose your income. That there are things out there that are in place that can help you, because the statistics are telling us that 6 out of 10 people, they go through their savings due to medical bills, and
Mm-hmm.
2 out of 4 homes go into foreclosure because of medical bills.
Yeah.
And so while you're already, and your family is already under stress because of, that physical condition that's going on, you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to add financial burden to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing, spreading the good news.
Yeah, no, you just make me think about like I started paying attention to just insurance in general after I had my first child because we started to get all these bills and I'm like, what is this? I had no idea. So, I mean, just out of curiosity, how does that play into like if I'm working for a corporation and I'm going through my benefits, how does that play into the benefits that I get from and I have like a chronic illness or, something like that? How does that help?
Well, if you have insurance through your job, there's a few things with that. The first thing is, if you leave your job, your insurance doesn't go with you.
Hmm.
Also, insurance with your job, the coverages are not going to be great, because the thing about insurance, you want to make sure that if you have a home, that your mortgage is protected and that you pay that off. If you
Hmm.
have any debts, you need to pay that off. If you
Okay.
have children, their education as
Right.
well. So usually you're not going to find that type of money in your corporate benefits. So most people really should have, actually everyone should have, their own personal policy. And you can get the policy to get whatever you need. And there's all kinds of insurance out there now. There's term, there's whole life, and there's also something called index universal life, which builds cash value.
Hmm.
You can get living benefits on all of those.
Okay, so living benefits is something that I could use. Can you elaborate on what I can use living benefits for?
So living benefits, if we're talking about there's two different kinds of living benefits, actually. So I'm going to talk about the easy one first, and then I'll go into the one that I'm really an advocate for. But there's life insurance out there, like I mentioned, something that's called an index universal, where it builds up cash value. You can actually use that cash value to pay for things like mortgage, like a down payment. Your child is going to college. Because of that cash value, you're able to access that money. But the living benefits that I'm talking about is a specific thing. They're riders that if you have a terminal illness, a chronic illness, critical injury, or critical illness, you can use your death benefit while you're alive to pay for whatever you want. If you want to pay for having your home remodeled because maybe you need a ramp because of a wheelchair, you need a home provider to come out, or maybe your family just wants to go on a vacation, you can use that money for whatever you want, and it's tax free.
Okay, since I guess I'm also thinking about like, for example, you have a 401k and sometimes people take out from their 401k and there's a penalty. So if I'm using this benefit to do things like I want a vacation or, I need to remodel the house to make it more accommodating for my family member, is there a penalty for that?
The awesome thing about this is there is no penalty.
Hmm.
Because it's life insurance, it has certain IRS protections. There's IRS codes that protect the proceeds from life insurance so that
Hmm.
it's tax free. It's
Okay.
your money.
Okay.
That's the awesome thing about it.
No, that's really good. It makes, I think sometimes people need, for whatever reason, life happens,
Mm-hmm.
they,
Exactly.
they're kind of stuck. So right now, I am healthy. There's not anyone in my family that's going through anything. They don't have a chronic illness or anything right now. Um, would this be something that I would need to think about now?
Yes, absolutely. Because you never know when something is going to happen. And the thing about insurance is you get the better rates if you're younger
Hmm.
and healthier.
Hmm.
So if you have the condition already, chances are you could end up paying more, or you could even not be able to get it. So that's why it's important. I know people think, well, I'm fine, everything's good, because, you don't want to think about that type of thing. But you
Right.
have to plan for it because, we never know what's going on. We have so much out there. People are coming down with cancer because of the environment. You mentioned the sedentary lives that we live now. We
Mhm.
have so many people who are getting those diseases. You don't know what's going to come up. So anytime that you can have that living benefits, you really do need it, because would you rather go through, like you mentioned, going through your 401k or your savings, or if you have investments, or would you rather leverage somebody else's money?
Yeah, right. So if I wanted to get started or at least learn more about it, what would be the first steps that we would need to take?
Well, the first thing that you'd want to do is, I always tell people that the life insurance, I mentioned to you earlier about when you get life insurance, you always want to make sure that you cover certain things. And so there's a method called the dime method. And the dime method kind of tells you roughly about what kind of coverage or how much coverage you would need
Okay.
for your debts. Make sure they're covered. Your income. They say that you want to replace your income for 10 years because that's about how much your family would need, but sometimes that number can be very big. And so I just tell people at least 5 years. Try to replace your income for 5 years so that your family has a chance to get together. Your mortgage, if you have anything that you need to still pay, put that in there. And of course, the education for your children, and that should tell you how much coverage. And then you need to find an agent who is going to not just look for a sale, because there's a lot of people who do that, but someone who will take the time to answer your questions, educate you on things, and that will stay with you, because they should check up on you yearly to make sure you haven't had any life changes. You could have had a baby, gotten married, so and your coverage situation might change, so you definitely want to do those things.
Okay. Okay, good. So the DIME, like money, like a dime, is
Yeah.
the method. All right, I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So those are the things that we would need to look into before we considered how much coverage we need. Um,
Yeah.
okay.
And
All
then
right.
also, people who think about affordability, a lot of people think, well, we have that mindset of how little can I pay for this much? And I totally understand that. But you have to understand, just like, with your health, later on, if you're not there,
Mhm.
what is your family going to need?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure. And of course, we want to make it affordable to you. We don't want the policy to lapse because you couldn't
Yeah.
pay. So at least you have that to kind of start with. And
Yeah.
then you and the agent can kind of work together to like whittle it down to something that can be affordable to you so that it doesn't have to lapse and you get your family protected.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just boils down to your priorities, and just having a different perspective for life long term. I think that a lot of times we're just looking at right here, right now,
Mhm.
and what we want what we want right now, and we're not thinking long term when we do get older, or even, God forbid, something happens and we just weren't prepared. So hopefully, for those of you that are on, have learned something about how we're living or how you're living and the choices that you're making right now and how they are going to benefit you over time. And I'm 39 and I am definitely looking back at some of those choices from back in the day when I was not thinking about my, later on down the road. I have two kids now, and, I'm married, and life looks very different now, and my perspective is different. But I think it is definitely worth looking into something like living benefits, and how you could set yourself up long term. Same thing with just our eating choices. It's about your quality of life over time. So, any questions from you guys? Any questions for Joy about living benefits? Is this something that you have heard of before? Is this something that you have not heard of? Is this completely foreign? Um, any question? I am not a money person, so I definitely trying to expand my mind to think about finances more because it does impact you emotionally. And
Mm-hmm.
if things are impacting us emotionally, mentally, it also impacts our health because we're stressed out about it. And, you know, when you're stressed, that means cortisol. And if you're trying to lose weight, cortisol is not your friend. But it does impact you from a holistic perspective. So it's not something financial is just somewhat something sitting out by itself. It's a holistic circle, and everything impacts the other. So I hope that you did enjoy this conversation. I did. And I will save this video so that you can look at it again. But I want to say thank you to Joy for her being willing to pop on IG and share more about what she does and how it will help us in our lives. So thank you. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Bye, everyone.
Bye.